Chapter 7. A new name for dad. You gotta be kidding me. For real? For real? My mother always calls Wednesday hump day, which is terrible. I mean, seriously, hump day? Wow. But for reasons she calls it that, because she says that if you gotta get through Wednesday, you gotta get over the hump. And the rest of the week will be a breeze. But for me, Wednesday couldn't have been no worse than Tuesday. Matter of fact, they should call Tuesday Hill Day because a hill is bigger than a hump. Either that or lose day, which, when you say it, sounds like lose day, even though even though I thought I had some possible winners when I was thinking of little sister's name before bed. Newbie, Magic, Breeze, Windy, Dusty. Still thinking about this one. Hurdle, Special, Hurdle. And then kind of drifted into 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, sleep. Morning, hump day. The other thing about hump day, especially when it comes to my mom's business, is that no matter what, she only makes camels with the fruit. Only camels. That's it. She started doing this a while ago when business really got jumping to the point that it was too much for her to handle by herself when I'm in school. And then she's trying to figure out a way to slow it down. So she made this rule that if anyone orders something to be delivered on Wednesday, it is going to be a camel, no matter what. She was hoping that people wouldn't make Wednesday orders and that she'd have a day off to relax. And that's basically what happened. I got up, ready for a chill day, figuring maybe her and me could catch a movie. Sunny always be recommending strange ones, or maybe I could rest my sore body before practice. But as soon as it hit the kitchen, my mother spat out, "It's a work day." She poured a half cup of coffee for herself, put the pot down, while I opened the fridge and took out milk like a well choreographed dance. 1, 2, 3, coffee, fridge, milk. On hump day, she, I asked, confused by the fact that anyone would want a camel. Yup, she said slowly, on hump day. She ain't sound too excited. She was probably bummed about having to work on what was almost always a day off. But the other thing that my mother had never actually got a real order on hump day before. So now she had to figure out how she was going to make a camel out of fruit. What's the game plan? I asked, curious about this myself. Mom leaned against the counter, took a sip, thinking, then kiwi, all kiwi. For the rest of the morning, I was stuck peeling kiwi, was nothing like peeling oranges, but was way more of a surprise. So, see, when you peel an orange, the inside of the orange is also orange. I mean, the stuff that holds it all together. But mainly, it's just orange. But when you peel a kiwi, the fuzzy brown reveals a bright green mushiness, and that you would never know was there. It was like cracking open a coconut and finding a tennis ball inside. Wild. So I did that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. She must have had 20 of them. I peeled, she chopped. I peeled, she chopped. And after she had a mountain of little pieces of kiwi, the juice running all over the place, she took a few bananas and put them and the kiwi in a blender and blended it all up. I won't lie. This was one of the strangest things I've ever seen her do. And the whole time, she had that real serious look on her face, chewing on the bottom lip like she known she was about to shock the world. I don't know about the world, but she definitely shocked me because the bananas turned the kiwi into a thick paste, almost like some kind of clay. And it was the color of clay. No, worse. And she shook it out of the blender and then shaped it into a camel with her hands. And when she got it right, two humps, she stuck it in the freezer for like 10 minutes And it was during this 10 minutes my mother ran into the bathroom to puke. When she was done, she came back to the kitchen like anything happened. And then I realized that putting contacts into your eyeballs was really nothing compared to throwing up right after you're done. Taking a camel that happens to look like it's made out of throw up out of the freezer. I just watched her as she poked it gently, and once she saw it had turned a little stiffer, she started taking the leftover skin from all the kiwi and I peeled and laying it on top of the kiwi banana blend. What the toothpick, she called as usual. I handed her one, then another, and she used them to tack the skin down. And before I knew it, the camel had fur. We stood back and got a look at it. Not bad, I said. But who's it going to? My mother checked the paper, then smiled. Of course. What? She handed me the note, and then she picked the tray up and put the camel back in the fridge. It said, To Skunk. Thanks for helping us, especially Patty, get over the hump. And please clean your car out. Love, Miss Bev Jones. Underneath the signature, it said, Christina, please feel free to deliver this gift in the middle of the day because Skunk don't have a job. Skunk was Cotton's older brother, and he had been helping Patty's family out since her aunt, who takes care of her, broke her arm in a car accident. Cotton and Skunk live in the same grandma right around the corner from me. So instead of getting into the car and driving, I told my mom I would just walk it over there. I got dressed, slathered on some sunscreen, just a single coat, and it was a short walk. While mom boxed up the art, finishing the packaging as usual, ribbon and sticker, I grabbed a small tangerine and stuffed it in the pocket of my sweatpants, picked up the box with a camel in it, and headed to the door. The sun was shining and the neighborhood was alive with kids excited to be out of school. Some were sitting on porches, eating ice cups, some drawing on the sidewalks with pieces of fat chalk, and some limestone they stole from Mrs. Clark. She always kept limestone around her flower beds, even though her flowers were always dead. I was holding the camel steady, maneuvering down the block, trying not to bump into some random little kid, or even worse, trip over nothing, which is always happens when you don't need it to. Like when you're holding your mom's hard work in the form of a fruit camel and paid for by your friend's mother to give it a gift to a dude who was the older brother of a girl you like but don't like to like. Eventually, you get to the corner, made the right, and started down the block. Almost there. A few more steps and trip, of course. Over nothing, of course. Stumble, save. Phew! Clap, 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 clap. Yo, you almost played yourself, kid. That was Skunk. He was sitting outside on his front porch, a cigarette dangling from his mouth as he continued to clap for me. Clap at me. A little scraggly haired dog sat next to him. The dog looked exhausted if this had been worked a hard day, or had been jumping hurdles, or had been smoking cigarettes. The dog's name was Stinky Butt. Skunk had him forever. Almost lost your whole life out there, Skunk dragged the joke on. His voice was squeezed, almost choked, as he blew the smoke out and then dabbed the cig butt on the bottom of his shoe. Well, I'm glad I didn't. And you should be too, because this is for you, I said, coming up to him, my arms out holding what seemed like something way more important than it was. Like I was delivering some kind of special scroll. The closer I got, the more Stinky Butt perked up. And right when I got to the porch, the puny mutt started growling. What's this? Skunk asked, nodding at me and rubbing his dog's head. I thought about doing my whole rollout with a good afternoon, my name is Lou, and whatnot, just to be funny. Instead, I just said, Camel. What? Skunk took the box. A camel. I handed him the note from Patty's mom, made of fruit. He opened the letter, read it, hissing the air. Then he opened the box. Don't eat the skin. That it comes right off. Skunk was the kind of guy who would try to eat whatever was in front of him. The type of dude that needed to be warned. He pulled a piece of fur off, pinched off some kiwi mash, tasted it, flashed dis- a distinguished frown, then looked back up at me. Pinched another piece and gave it to Stinky Butt, who had stopped growling and was now sitting up, wagging tail, waiting for it. Skunk nodded, then balanced the camel on one hand, and I knew he was just going to drop it. Got up and opened the door. Ash, Lou out here, he yelled into the house. All of a sudden, oh, I gotta go. I wasn't expecting him to call for Cotton Ashley, her government name, but I guess he figured I must be standing out there looking silly for a reason. But I wasn't. And if I was standing there looking silly, the reason would have been because he was eating a camel. No, you don't, Skunk said, taking a few steps into the house. He was holding the camel with both hands, calling out to his sister again. Ash, I'm coming, she yelled back a few seconds later. Cotton was standing in the doorway, pushing Skunk further away. Stinky Butt followed behind. Ew, you smell like smoke. What you been eating? I stood there, trying to figure out what to do with my hands. Fold them? Nope. Behind my back? Nope. In pockets? Maybe. There was an orange there, a tangerine. Hey, Cotton said to me. She had on sweatpants too, a hoodie, probably because her grandma always kept the air conditioning blasting. I could smell her. Smelled like bacon, because her grandma was always frying bacon, her face freshly greased. Hey, what's going on? Chillin', you had to bring your brother Camel? You had to do what? It's hump day. It's what? My mother. Lou, what are you talking about? Without even knowing it, I had somehow taken the tangerine out of my pocket and I was peeling it. Just peeling it right there, sliding my thumb into the skin, rolling it back, sliding it into one piece. Nothing. I shook my head. Forget it. Talk about embarrassing. I spit the tangerine and shoved the whole half of it into my mouth so I wouldn't have to say anything else. Probably was chewing it like a camel. Yikes. Cotton, clearly confused, held her hand out.